from the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining. I would also like to welcome constituents from the constituencies of the St. Elizabeth Southwestern, Manchester Northwestern, St. James Southern, who are here today in support of their Member of Parliament. I also welcome those of you who are joining us online via the various social media platforms, the PBCJ live stream, as well as all other guests who are here with us in the gallery. Call of the roll. Call of the roll. Have a seat.
Mrs. Holness, Mr. Green, Dr. Holness, Dr. Chang, Mrs. Williams, Mr. Bartlett, Ms. Grange, Dr. Tufton, Mr. Mackenzie, Mr. Montague, Mr. Vaz, Mr. Chuck, Mr. Charles Jr., Mr. Morgan, Ambassador Marks, Mr. Samuda, Dr. Wheatley, Mrs. Cuthbert Flynn, Mr. Terrelong, Mr. Witter, Mrs. Dalrymple Filbert, Miss Morrison, Miss Lee, Mr. Donovan Williams, Mr. Main, Miss Crawford, Mr. Delroy Williams, Miss Hamilton, Mr. Sivrice, Miss Sazan, Mr. Brown, Dr. Brown Burke, Mr. Buchanan, Mr. Bunting, Miss Burchell, Dr. Campbell, Mr. Cousins, Mr. Crawford, Miss Daly, Dr. Dawes, Mr. Golding, Mr. Gordon, Mr. Hales, Mr. Hines, Mr. Hilton, Mr. Jackson, Miss Jess, Mrs. Malahoo Fort, Mrs. Miller Bennis, Mr. Morris, Mrs. Nita Garvey, Mr. Newell, Mr. Paulwell, Mr. Phillips, Miss Perkins, Mr. Robertson, Mr. Robinson, Dr. Russell, Miss Shaw, Mr. Smith, Mr. Vaz, and Mr. Warmington. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. How could I forget? I'm seeing some students in the gallery. They are from the Mile Gully High School, 16 in numbers and 2 teachers. Let us welcome them all. Statement by Minister.
No, Mr. Speaker, I'm not a minister and make by minister. Just allow me to speak, madam. Mr. Speaker, I stood earlier. You don't ask me question. The speaker is in charge and speaking me a chance to speak. But Mr. Speaker, over the years, I realized that the protocol and the operation of Parliament has decreased. When I came in 1918 over the years, the protocol is that once the speaker enters that door, nobody else comes in until after prayers. And once, that's true, you agree with me? Thank you. And once the speaker enters that door, members are not supposed to be cross-talking and talking to each other. You stand in reverence until after prayers. Until reverence, until the speaker says, you may take your seat. You don't speak. That decency must return. It must return.
Thank you very much,
I
member.
raised today because today was worse than other days. The cross-talking noise, it must stop. And we must bring back that order and decency to this house.
Statement by Minister. Announcement.
Laid on the table of the House is the following. Green paper numbered 01 of 2026 titled National Youth in Agricultural Policy. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Bills brought from the Senate. Petitions. Papers. Reports from committees. Notice of motion given orally.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to give notice at the next meeting of the House. I will move. Be it resolved, with reference to the resolution approved by this Honorable House appointing the Standing Orders Committee, that this committee be allowed to hold hybrid meetings that are partly virtual and partly physical, utilizing available information and communications technologies in the manner more specifically outlined below. Preserving the rights, powers, and privileges, including voting rights, normally accorded to a member of a committee, the committee is hereby empowered to 1. Convene and hold meetings in virtual spaces created using information and communication technologies, which shall be considered committee meetings for the purpose of the mandate of the committee. 2. Allow access and participation from remote locations as are enabled by means of information and virtual technologies by members and other persons authorized by the committee. 3. Include members accessing and participating from remote locations as part of its quorum. 4. Receive, consider, deliberate on, and respond to feedback and submissions in formats, modes, and media, and via platforms, modes, and media enabled by means of information and communication technologies from any person. 5. Consider any and all information generated, communicated, and received via formats, platforms, modes, or media as enabled by means of information and communication technologies as forming part of the record of committee meetings. Mr. Speaker, I further beg to give notice that at a later stage today, I will move for the suspension of the standing orders to enable me to take the motion.
Questions and answers to questions. Motion that may be made at the commencement of public business requiring notices. Motion relating to the sitting of the House. Motion for leave to introduce bills. Presentation of bills without leave of the House first obtained. Public business.
Before we go to the presentation, I just want to finish this. Mr. Speaker, I now move for the suspension of the standing orders to enable me to take the motion, notice of which I gave earlier. The question is that the standing orders be suspended to enable the minister to take the motion, notice of which I gave earlier.
The question is that the standing order be suspended to enable the minister to take the motion, notice of which he gave earlier. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it.
Speaker. Speaker, I do not know if you could give me permission for getting some clarification. We have a portable AC in here. It has taken away totally from listening and getting good understanding from what the members are saying. Yesterday, I had a very difficult time. And I believe it is getting even louder. Today, for whatever reason, it is much louder. And I do not know how you'll be able to correct this situation so that we'll be able to communicate a little bit.
I understand you, Madam Member, but as it is, the air condition or the repairing of the air condition is at procurement.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I now move that the motion of which I gave notice earlier be approved.
The question is that the motion, notice of which the minister gave earlier, be approved. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Today it's our intention to continue the sectoral debates as outlined earlier. And I just want to remind those listening and members of the House that the Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining and Member of Parliament for St. Elizabeth Southwestern, the Honorable Floyd Green, will be presenting, as well as the Member of Parliament for Northwestern Manchester and the Member of Parliament for St. James Southern. I now invite the member from St. Elizabeth Southwestern and the Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries to begin his presentation, followed by the two members I noted earlier.
Mr. Speaker, before the minister presents, having a discussion with the minister and the speaker yesterday, the minister's responsibility also covers mining outside of agriculture and fisheries. And I also am the spokesperson for mining. And seeing the time that has been given, we had asked for an extra time to be able to cover that subject matter. So I am asking for some consideration to be able to cover that subject matter. As I said, so I'm asking, Mr. Speaker, for that consideration. It's not usually likely that an opposition member would ask for extra time for the minister and himself at the same time. So if it pleases you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, we are aware that discussions did take place. We're aware that discussions did take place yesterday with the hope of facilitating the request. So I, as House Leader acting, have no objection to the request.
10 minutes. 10 minutes at the end.
The speaker will be given, or the presenter will be given 10 minutes only. You have 45, you have an extra 15, and surplus of 10. Gets 5. Minister will get 45 first. He has a second 15, and you're now asking to give him 10. I am saying that he's getting that extra 10, you're getting 5, along with what you had before.
Mr. Speaker, Isaiah 40 verse 31 says, "But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles.
They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. Mr. Speaker, I stand here today by the grace of God and his continued mercy. I remain grateful for his guidance, his covering, and his strength, especially in times of disaster. Mr. Speaker, I'm aware that many Jamaicans have lifted me up in their prayers, especially after Hurricane Melissa, and I am grateful for their prayers. To my wife, Kerida, and my son, Nathaniel, thank you for your grounding, your patience, and your love. Madam Speaker, I thank Prime Minister Andrew Holness. He is an astute, effective, caring, action-oriented leader who was made for these times, and I am grateful for the confidence he has placed in me. To my cabinet colleagues, my fellow members of Parliament, I am happy to be a part of this team, and I am happy to serve in this House. My ever-present State Minister, my guide, my friend, Mr. Franklin Witter, thank you for your support. And my extremely hard-working Permanent Secretary, Dermot Spence, and a dedicated team across the ministry and its agencies. Mr. Speaker, I am here because of the people of Southwest St. Elizabeth. I have never left their side, and I will never leave their side. We have entered new ground with a third consecutive term, and there are many more to come. Mr. Speaker, the world is going through a very uncertain period right now. Every evening we turn on the news, we see conflict, war, disruptions, growing instability across major economies. And while these conflicts seem far away from Jamaica, they eventually affect all of us here at home. Going forward is more than sharing our recovery journey. It's about ensuring systems of resilience and adaptation are ingrained in the ecosystem of our sectors. Not just forward planning for climate change, not just forward planning for global insecurities, but ensure that we're implementing actions that will lead to true transformation. It's about the youth in Boghole. It's about the youth in Anatole Bay. It's about the youth in Newcomb Valley or Penance. We have to ensure that they can see a future in agriculture, in fisheries, and in mining. We are confident, Mr. Speaker, that if we develop our production systems to truly feed ourselves in times of rain, drought, or war, if we capitalize on the blue economy, if we develop new industries of mining, our people will be better off, our rural communities will be better off, and our country, Jamaica, will fulfill her true potential. Today I present Growing Forward, the blueprint for a better future. Mr. Speaker, a little over a year ago, the Prime Minister directed that we develop a 10-year agricultural plan for Jamaica. While the ministry has always had short-term strategic plans, a broad-based, more holistic plan that spans multiple terms and charts a transformational journey for agriculture was needed. In fact, Mr. Speaker, the opposition shared that very same viewpoint when the member from Clarendon was their spokesperson on agriculture. He advocated that we develop a holistic agricultural development plan. It is a suggestion that has been put in the Gleaner and in the Observer multiple times. Members, I'm pleased to announce today that with the help of the Food and Agricultural Organization, we have completed a draft 10-year National Agricultural Developmental Plan. This plan focuses on resilient and sustainable production systems, innovative agribusiness and value chains, efficient agricultural trade, food security and nutrition, and also incorporates a number of cross-cutting areas like research, information technology, agricultural workforce, youth, gender, and perennial larceny. Mr. Speaker, today I am making the draft public for feedback. I will be sending a copy to the emails of all our members of Parliament so that you can share with us your contribution to this National Development Plan. We will also place the plan on the moa.gov.jm website for agricultural stakeholder feedback, and people can email in their comments. This is our plan. This is not one side's plan. This is Jamaica's plan to move agriculture forward. Members, as we seek to finalize our National Agricultural Development Plan, let me use today's presentation to outline some of where we are, the work that we have already undertaken to set the foundation for the plan, and some of the main initiatives for this year. In 2025, Jamaica's domestic crop sector produced 811,244 tons, representing a 5.7% increase over 2024, and in fact, the second highest level of output on record. Members, this is particularly significant when you think about the fact that for the last quarter, with Hurricane Melissa, we declined by 22%. What it means is that a year after Hurricane Beryl, our agricultural sector has rebounded so strongly that even with the impact of Melissa, we hit our second highest production numbers in the history of Jamaica. This is a testament to the hard work and resilience of our farmers. And members, we must applaud our farmers for their hard work and their resilience. But it is also a testament to the work of the government and the fact that over the last 10 years, we have made strategic investments in agriculture to build resilience. And we saw this resilience being tested after Hurricane Melissa. Hurricane Melissa stands on record as the most catastrophic weather event in the history of Jamaica's agricultural society. We saw $36.12 billion in losses. The World Bank estimated that the overall impact and the multiplier effects is over 60 billion Jamaican dollars. But, Mr. Speaker, this administration is not one to throw their hands on their head and say, woe is we. We have not rested on our laurels. This is not the spirit of the government of Andrew Holness. We have moved forward with action and set about on recovery. Within a week of Hurricane Melissa, we were able to restore 75% of our irrigation customers through backup generation, and over 90% of those customers got back water within 1 month of Hurricane Melissa. And you know what this government did? We provided that water free of cost up to the end of February. We provided free land preparation and have already prepared over 2,000 hectares valued at over $80 million free of cost to our farmers. We provided direct support to specific crop lines. We provided about $150 million in input to farmers of fruits and vegetables. We provided $100 million in specialized formulated fertilizer to over 7,000 banana and plantain farmers. And I know my banana and plantain lovers have been wondering, banana is coming back. We provided $100 million to reestablish 643 hectares of yam through the provision of yam heads, stakes, and over 5,000 bags of fertilizer impacting over 2,000 farmers. We provided $40 million to distribute 1.3 million hot pepper seeds and 39 million for apiculture or bee keepers, providing them with over 5,000 bags of bee sugar. Additionally, entities like the FAO, United Way, and American Friends of Jamaica have played a role in this recovery effort. Mr. Speaker, we have seen the results. Some expected that 6 months after Hurricane Melissa, Jamaica's agricultural sector would still be in shortage and we would still be seeing high prices. This has not been our reality. From as early as January, 3 months after Hurricane Melissa, we saw the tremendous bounce back of our vegetable production. In fact, when the BOJ met to speak about inflation. They said that the direct impact of Hurricane Melissa on inflation was less severe than initially anticipated due to a faster than expected recovery in agricultural supplies. Members, you may not know, but the first quarter vegetable production of 2026 is the highest first quarter vegetable production in the history of Jamaica. Mr. Speaker, it doesn't mean that all is well. It does not mean that we are out of the proverbial woods. And it does not mean that every single farmer has received support. That is not the case. We still have more work to be done to recover from Hurricane Melissa. There are crop lines which, based on the extent of the damage, require more long-term support. And the reality is that the recovery efforts has been hampered now by what is happening in the world with rising input prices, supply chain disruptions, challenges around agrochemicals and fuel prices. So we understand that we have to work even harder to ensure that Jamaica can feed itself. That is why we're happy that we would have received under this budget $1.2 billion towards our production and productivity program. I know there's a lot of talk about developing a fund for agriculture. One of the things that this government has done well is to institutionalize the funding for agriculture. In 2019, the programs around agriculture used to get $400 million. We moved that by 2021 to give those programs $1 billion Jamaican dollars. And since that time, we have maintained that every year since that, over $1 billion goes into the programs of the Ministry of Agriculture. Over $5 billion over the last 5 years directly to agriculture. And let us be clear, this is different from the money that we're spending on capital projects. This is different than the money that we're spending on recovery. This is our programmatic budget. This government has taken agriculture serious. We're going to move into phase 2 of our recovery effort. And we're going to provide additional support for our livestock farmers, our yam farmers, our coffee farmers. In fact, we're exploring developing a voucher system that can provide direct support to those who are yet to receive. We have earmarked about $250 million to continue that agricultural recovery program. One of the things that we all know now is that if we are to grow forward, we have to grow some of it ourselves. And that is why we continue to encourage our people to engage in backyard farming. I myself have embarked on an aeroponic tower journey in my backyard, and I commend it to all the members. But the government is going to continue to support it. So this year, we will be continuing our backyard gardening program, and we'll be distributing 5,000 backyard gardening kits targeting urban spaces and also some aeroponic towers so we can increase the production at home. Madam Speaker, Mr. Speaker, we know Hurricane Melissa wiped out a significant amount of our fruit trees. And that is why we are redoubling our efforts to establish 3,000 acres of orchard crops by 2035. We're going to be focusing on ackee, breadfruit, mango, coconut, and avocado. In fact, we have worked with trees that feed, and we have gotten 3 new avocado varieties: the Hass, the Carla, and the Semel 34. Why is this important, Mr. Speaker? As a man who loves avocado, these varieties give us the ability to grow avocado right around the year. We will move it from a seasonal crop. We're also going to continue our citrus redevelopment program. We will bring back our citrus industry. Another one that we're focusing on is the Wambugo apple. If you haven't heard about it, look it up. We're now growing it in our agri park, and we're going to use it to replace the very popular American apple. Came out of Kenya, has taken well to this environment. We're going to be focusing on that. In fact, Mr. Speaker, I have tasked Don McGlashan and Loxley Waits to work with the forestry and our seed certification unit and our nurseries to rapidly expand our fruit tree planting base. And we're starting on a drive this year that every single household in Jamaica must have at least one fruit tree by 2033. That is our direction. Livestock development is central to reducing our import dependency and stabilizing domestic protein supply. I am pleased to announce to the members of this House that we're in the final stages of the development of the National Livestock Policy. In fact, we expect the policy to be at the green paper by the end of Q2 in this financial year. That National Livestock Policy will modernize breeding and genetic improvement systems, will strengthen animal health, veterinary services, and biosecurity, will improve feed security and local feed production, will promote climate-resilient livestock housing and management practices, will enhance food safety, traceability, and quality standards. It's something that the member from Eastern Westmoreland, when he spoke about, when we were talking about dairy, spoke about a livestock policy. It will come to the end of the second quarter of this financial year. We will conclude the policy framework and continue to strengthen our livestock sector. We have been working with the Veterinary Services Division, and in fact, we've acquired about $70 million worth of equipment to really revitalize our genetic bank at Bodles so that we can do more artificial insemination and more embryo transfers so that we can drive especially our dairy sector. The Jamaica Dairy Development Board will be commencing phase 2 of its genetic improvement program. And we will be importing some high quality animals. In fact, we have earmarked to import this financial year 200 high yield animals from the United States. While we do that, we have already purchased 400 heifers from Surge, and we're going to be distributing those to farmers across the country to strengthen dairy production. On the small ruminant side, we're taking an ecosystem approach to expand small ruminants with a focus on genetics, nutrition, and veterinary care. We're building out fodder banks, we're distributing goats, we're distributing goat houses, we're strengthening our livestock training. In fact, one of the things that we have focused on is the rapid multiplication to expand our small ruminant herd. Last year, we brought in 255 goats. We did 152 artificial inseminations. This year, we're targeting to bring in 1,000 goats to help expand our small ruminant sector. Madam Speaker, I see the Minister of Water is here, and he's shared a report with me from the Meteorological Service, which has projected that Jamaica will experience drier conditions and elevated heat levels with the possibility of a protracted drought. In this financial year, RADA will intensify our drought mitigation strategy. We are going to be embarking on a 145 million mini water catchment pond construction program. What that means, members, in our high production zones, we're going to be building out water catchment ponds. And we're targeting those parishes that are known for drought. But we're not stopping there. We're going to have to start some trucking. And we're going to be purchasing 2 more water trucks for the NIC to serve underserved areas. There are in some communities that you have catchment tanks already. We want to rehabilitate those catchment tanks and use them for agriculture. We're going to be distributing plastic and grass mulch because we also have to change our planting patterns so that people are keeping the moisture in the soil. And we'll be providing some drip irrigation systems and water tanks. In fact, we're starting to roll out these interventions now. And members of Parliament, you are going to be a part of that rollout. So today you will get an allocation to help your farmers deal with the oncoming drought. We want to start now before it is too late. But that is just part of the problem. The bigger problem is, where will the water of the future come from? Yes, we are the land of wood and water, but water is always in demand. And that is why the National Irrigation Commission will start this year to truly explore non-traditional water sources. We're going to be looking at desalination facilities to use that to provide irrigated water for our farmers. We're also going to be looking at grey water-based technologies as we drive our long-term water resilience. We are going to continue building out irrigation. In fact, we have earmarked 6,000 hectares to be built out over the next 5 years. This will bring our country to over 50% of arable land that has water. And what are those projects? The Pedro Plains irrigation expansion, which there is budget for that this year, to continue to build out irrigation that will serve over 4,000 hectares. And we have 4 smaller projects that will serve about 2,000 hectares. Mr. Speaker, I want to assure the farmers in Essex Valley, farmers very familiar to Member Witter and Member Bunting, that we will be turning on their irrigation supply before the end of 2026. In Amity Hall and Bridgepen, the second quarter of 2027, we will turn on that irrigation system. We are building a better Jamaica through irrigation. Let me speak a little bit about our agri-parks. You know, we made a massive step last year in Clarendon, what is that? Southwestern, where we did the Parnassus Agri-Park. 700 acres of former sugarland that we transformed into an agri-park in Clarendon. Farmers like Dorrit James and Noel Reed were able to get back in the field quickly after Hurricane Melissa. In fact, members, there's an article I would love you all to read. December 30, 2025, in the Jamaica Gleaner, where they spoke to Mr. Reed. And Mr. Reed, having lost so much from Hurricane Melissa, was back out in the field. And they asked Mr. Reed, why are you back out in the field? Mr. Reed said he is out in the field because he now has access to water. He says before he would lose 50% of his profits due to lack of water access. He can now guarantee, these are his words, 100% return on his investment because water is accessible on his farm. This is how you build a better Jamaica and go forward. This government has committed to the people of Jamaica that we will build an agri-park in every parish. I spoke about it last year, and as such, let me update the House as to where we are. We have identified potential sites in every parish that does not now have an agri-park. In St. Mary, New Pen has been identified, and we have already dug the well in New Pen, and we're designing a pressurized irrigation system. In Portland, Lower Leighton has been identified. And we're going to be doing river training, we're going to be doing irrigation, storage, and a road network. In St. Anne, we've identified 2, Litford and Hindstown. And we're breaking ground for Litford this year to start the work on that agri-park. In Westmoreland, we have identified 4, started that feasibility study. In Hanover, Orange Bay, and Spring Valley, we've started feasibility studies on those. In St. James, Montpelier seems to be the front runner for that agri-park, and in Trelawney, Long Pond, and Ettington. Those are the areas that we're focusing on. One of the things that we're doing, Mr. Speaker, it doesn't make sense. You're in our agri-parks, you have the land, and you're not using it. We are taking back the lands from people who are not using the lands in the agri-parks. Last year we took back 120 acres. And we have identified another 280 acres that we're planning to take back this year if people don't put them into production. This will increase our utilization closer to 80% of our agri-parks. Mr. Speaker, as we grow forward to build resilience, we understand that protected agriculture is a fundamental part of our strategy. Today, I am pleased to inform the nation that this government is embarking on the largest outlay of protected agriculture structures in our history. The government is spending $800 million constructing 95 greenhouses across 4 parishes before the end of this year. Moko Clarendon, we're doing 40 greenhouses. Lancaster in South Manchester, we're doing 10 greenhouses. Water Valley in St. Anne, we're doing 20 greenhouses. Damhead in St. Catherine, we're doing 10 greenhouses. Damhead, I think, is the member Crawford. Blackstone Edge in St. Anne, we're doing 15 greenhouses. In Content Manchester, Damhead is you, 10 greenhouses. In Content Manchester, we're transforming our greenhouse cluster into a protected agricultural zone, complete with storage and a new farm road. We are growing forward through protected agriculture. One area that I must address, under the Green Climate Fund Adapt Jamaica project, we are seeking to design and build greenhouses that can withstand Category 5 hurricanes. Is one of the hallmarks of the project. We're going to be designing a greenhouse that is fit for purpose for our reality, and we're going to be spending over $1.5 billion over the next 5 years to roll out those greenhouses. Madam Speaker, the uncertainty in today's world commands that we search for more local inputs, prioritize the growing systems which focus on local methodologies, and healthy and more sustainable outcomes. Organic farming is a major part of the solution. Through the Jamaica Soil Regeneration and Fertility Improvement Project, the ministry has provided $50 million to the organic sector. Last year alone, we trained over 1,380 persons in soil management strategies across all 14 parishes. This project is now slated to move into its final phase, focusing on conducting research, using soil water management strategies to increase organic crop production. Members, we are developing a national organic agriculture policy. This will establish a framework to consistently support our organic farmers. It will include certification systems, capacity building for farmers, and market development strategies. Importantly, Mr. Speaker, we have met with the private sector. And one of our hallmark projects that we're looking to work on is to develop a local organic fertilizer, which will help us in real ways, not just improve small health, but what we're looking to do is to reduce the organic waste in our country and turn that into fertilizer to help our farmers. Members in this house are familiar with the challenge that we have, where oftentimes our farmers do their best and then don't have markets for their produce. We have to address these challenges. And we're going to take a holistic approach to address these challenges. Firstly, we have to increase storage. We're spending billions of dollars in Essex Valley, and we would have launched last year the Essex Valley Storage and Agro-Processing Facility, which can hold about 22 containers of produce. We are presently using it now to store things like Irish and things like onion. We are, and scallion. We are seeking a private sector partnership for its long-term management. In Kirkvine, we're spending $100 million to build out 350 square meters of storage. I can tell the member from Central Manchester, we are opening that facility in another 2 months. The member from Northeast Manchester will be happy to know that we're spending $300 million on Polivy, where we are rehabilitating 2,600 cubic meters of cold storage. The Flaggerman Cold Storage Facility was established last year, and we're going to put it into operation the end of this month. I am pleased to announce that this financial year, we will be establishing 3 semi-industrial onion dryers across our main onion areas: St. Thomas, St. Catherine, St. Elizabeth. This will reduce onion loss, wastage, and support the extended supply of onion. Listen to what I said. Don't watch up there, sir. We have earmarked $80 billion for that activity. That is just one area. The other area is agro-processing. We have to do more value added. And that's why we have to help our businesses to invest in agriculture. And some of them are investing, and they should be recognized. You can't call all of them, but I want to commend the Caribbean Broilers Group, who just announced that they're going to be putting $1 billion in agriculture over the next 12 months to build out egg and pork production. And they're going to, for the first time in their history, take on contract egg farmers. That's a major step. Walkerswood is now expanding their capacity threefold, and they're investing in the Parnassus Agro Park. And it's not just big investment. Some of the best value-added investments are small investments. And I want to congratulate Believe Farms. If you haven't heard the story of Believe Farms, a young lady who went to university, decided she wanted to be an entrepreneur, is from Kingston, had no land, went to our agro park, started with 5 acres, now has 22 acres, and has gone into her own line of sweet potato chips and soonies. And she joins us in the house, and I'm very happy that she could be here with us today. The chips members are in your bags. Every bag of a chip. But in order for us to have more business type investment, we have to ensure that our agricultural sector is bankable. In 2021, the ministry engaged the private sector around appropriate insurance protection for agricultural sector from weather-related peril. Weather Protect by GK Insurance was born, a parametric insurance scheme which guards against extreme wind, rain, and drought. 5 years later, and hundreds of farmers have benefited, including payouts from Beryl, Raphael, and Melissa. But the truth is, members, hundreds need to be thousands. These extreme weather events are a part of our everyday reality. And as such, insuring crops against these perils not only makes our farmers more bankable, but also gives them the security to recover faster. Today, members, I'm pleased to announce that as we grow forward, this government will be providing $50 million to provide insurance coverage for 5,000 farmers, prioritizing our agro parks, our youth, and our women. We are growing forward. Madam Speaker, as we speak about agro-processing, RADA has to play a more active role in agro-processing. And what we are doing, and you will like this, Mr. Speaker, we are revamping the RADA incubators, started with St. James, where we have to provide a space with more suitable equipment for small agro-processors, so they can engage in recipe formulation, small-scale production, and start to build scale. Then we're going to use the RADA Agrimat as the outlet for them to sell their products. Additionally, the RADA Home Economics Unit will be seeking to engage our fast food companies and agro-processors with recipes that they have developed utilizing local produce for commercialization. We will also engage in the Ministry of Education to develop a slate of products for distribution that utilize excess agricultural produce. The last area to deal with the excess is our farmers market. Our farmers market have worked, and we're going to now ramp up the numbers of farmers market that we have. We're going to increase the number that we have at the ministry We're going to target areas like Negril, St. James, Portland, Portmore to keep more farmers markets. Members, I could not speak without talking about what we're doing with technology. If you have not yet downloaded the RADA app on the Android or in the Play Store, please do so. In your iPhone store, please do so. The app now has a feature that the farmers can use the app to apply for benefits directly. And it gives us the ability to track if they have gotten or not. But we're going a little further. One, we have completed phase 1 of a digital platform which centralizes crop production data, giving us real-time visibility in what is being planted, where it is located, and how it is progressing through each stage of the crop cycle. This is a predictive AI-driven tool that will allow us to do better forecasting of supply. What it means, members, is that the farmer, prior to planting, will be able to see how much tomato is being planted in his community, in his parish, in his country, so that he makes better decisions. We have another thing that we're unveiling, a national agribusiness logistic map that will help us to provide real-time market data, especially in relation to pricing for all our consumers and our distributors. But the last one, members, that I think you will like. We are introducing today a new digital tool for members of this honorable house. This platform will provide you MPs with real-time visibility into the agricultural activity at your constituency, allowing you to see what is being produced, where it is happening, who is receiving benefit, allowing you to contact your parish manager, allowing you to submit your beneficiary listings. It will also include a module for farm roads. So you will see the agricultural access roads in your communities, the location, the length, the number of farmers they serve, so that you can make better decisions in relation to which farm roads are to be prioritized. MPs are critical partners as we grow agriculture forward. Mr. Speaker, Jamaica Food Import Bill continues to place significant pressure on foreign exchange and the cost of living. While Jamaica has been able to achieve self-sufficiency in poultry, pork, eggs, and most of our vegetable lines, our consumption of grain and wheat, and the increase in animal feed, plus fish and mutton, still make Jamaica very susceptible to global inflation and supply chain shocks. As a part of our 10-year development plan, we will be expanding our import substitution drive. But we're not starting from scratch. Through programs led by the ministry, we have already made important progress in reducing import reliance in several areas. The Onion Development Program has significantly expanded local onion production. Our Irish Potato Program continues to support greater local supply. Investments in poultry, pork, and protected agriculture have helped strengthen domestic production in our vegetable lines. We will ventilate this more, especially when we have finalized the plan. But it suffices to say that we will be taking policy and programmatic steps to increase the local production of components of our animal feed. One of the challenges we have is as we drive our poultry industry, as we drive our small ruminant industry, we're seeing increased imports for animal feed. We have to substitute some of that with what we can produce locally. The other thing that I will speak about later is our increase in aquaculture. We have to bring down the amount of fish that we import. Now, a lot of it is saltfish, but we also import a lot of other types of fish, like snapper, bangameri. We have to drive that down. I'll speak about it. The other thing that we're going after is to reduce our mutton importation, whether through policy or as we expand the herd size. We believe we can ramp up our small ruminant herd to treat with our mutton needs. Mr. Speaker, the ministry understands that for farmers, reliable road infrastructure is not a luxury. It is a necessity. Under the Farm Road Rehabilitation Program, we have made significant strides in strengthening this foundation. The ministry allocated last year $900 million for our Farm Road program, and we were able to rehabilitate over 50 roads across 25 constituencies, impacting thousands of farmers. Cave Valley, Frankfield, Temple Hall, Williamsfield in Manchester, Leamington in Westmoreland, all a part of last year's program. But we are consistently looking how can we do it better. Last year we piloted a unilayer soil and concrete road in East Rural St. Andrew. That technology out of Mexico, mix the soil with the concrete. It leads to a more cost-effective road. We wanted to see the strength. It went through Hurricane Melissa and it stood up extremely well. And if you know East Rural St. Andrew, the terrain is challenging. We want to expand that program. We're going to take it slowly. We're going to be doing 6 more this year, especially targeting the areas that are extremely vulnerable. Under the Farm Road Rehabilitation Program, we're targeting to do 60 roads across our production zones this year. One of the things that I want people to reflect on, last year in total, Minister of Finance, and we thank you. Last year in total, between our original Farm Road program, which was 52, and our Melissa Rehabilitation program, which was 39, we did last year 81 farm roads. Which, let me tell you something, that 81 farm roads is more than the other side ever did in all their years of government since independence. We have to fact check it. Fact check that one for me. Let me talk quickly about research. Because we are embarking on the most extensive infrastructure pipeline for our research centers in the history of Jamaica. This year we have over 40 individual projects to strengthen our research infrastructure. We have allocated $950 million, and we will do projects including the continuation of the construction of a new piggery at Borders. We're doing 2 new small ruminant houses at Borders. We're doing some work at Mount Pelia Research Station. We're constructing a brand new goat house at the Hounslow Research Station. We're also commencing repairs to the internal farm road network at the Orange River Research Station, and to strengthen that nursery, which is the primary nursery in the Caribbean for exotic fruit plants. We're going to be procuring multiple farm equipments for Borders and Orange River. Madam Speaker, as labor becomes more challenging to our small farmers, we are moving to put more equipment at the fingertips of our farmers. In fact, members, we are providing more equipment for RADA in 1 year than the other side did in 18 years. This year, between our Hills to Ocean project, between our own budget, between our recovery budget, we have provided rather with 10 rubber wheel tractors, 18 walk behind tractors. You know, let me start over. This year, between our Hills to Ocean project, our own budget, our recovery budget, we are providing rather with 10 rubber wheel tractors, 18 walk behind tractors, 26 soil augers, 4 sprayer drones, 3 surveillance drones, all of which will go into the equipment rental program for our small farmers. I wouldn't speak.
Minister,
I would.
just continue. Your
Yes.
15 minutes starts now.
I wouldn't present without speaking about our youth. Mr. Speaker, in my last sectoral presentation, I announced the development of our national youth in agriculture policy. I'm happy to announce today that I am tabling the policy as a green paper. We have concluded national public consultations with a wide variety of stakeholders, which will inform the final white paper, which will be presented within Q2 of this financial year. The youth policy will expand technical and entrepreneurial training, will provide structured pathways to land and financing, will promote youth-led climate-smart agriculture, will improve access to insurance and risk management tools for our youth, and will institutionalize youth participation in our decision-making policy. Madam Speaker, our youth represent the new frontier in persons engaged in agriculture. And it would be remiss of us not to recognize that more young people are coming into the agricultural space. Madam Speaker, in fact, in the last 2 years, we have seen a significant increase in youth farmer registrations. In fact, 1 in every 5 registrations is a youth farmer, which means, Mr. Speaker, we have added nearly 4,000 new youth to our agricultural database. I'll go a little further. We had put forward a policy to say that young people must have at least 25% of agricultural land in the agri-parks, and that has held true. But for the last financial year, where we provided 200 acres of land to our youth, that represents 34% of all the lands we had available last year. Our youth are doing extremely well. And we have to continue that. This year we will be rolling out scholarships for the top boy and top girl in each parish in agricultural science. If you are the top in the parish for agricultural science, we will give you a scholarship to go to CASE to continue in agriculture. The other thing that we're looking to do is that we have to take the next 5 years to transform CASE into a university. The reality is that the Ministry of Agriculture has increased its support to CASE. In fact, providing approximately 80 million annually to do the development to ensure that the training is top-notch. We have helped them and worked with agencies like Ofana in developing a tissue culture laboratory. We have developed a state-of-the-art broiler house, a modern piggery, goat barn, and now we're going to be working with CASE to develop a hatchery to help us deal with any shortage in layer pullets. CASE will be that institution that will drive the resurgence. Already, and I know Member Montague, already CASE has entered into partnership with Tuskegee University to provide 6 of their students who will not just train at CASE, but they will finish their training at Tuskegee University through a partnership that we have developed. Let me say a little bit about Preda Larceny. Last year we committed that the police will be establishing the Agricultural Protection Branch to enhance this government's fight against agricultural theft. So said, so done. In June of last year, the branch started out with 65 police officers across multiple divisions. Now, Minister of National Security, with your support and the Commissioner, the branch now has 115 officers. And we have already started to see the real impact in the fight against Preda Larceny. We moved from 115 arrests in 2024 to 642 arrests last year, a whopping 400% increase. In 2024, we seized 30 vehicles Last year, we seized 162 vehicles under the work of the Agricultural Protection Branch. But probably one of the best statistics. In 2024, only 18 persons were convicted for prey and larceny related offenses. Last year, 145 people were convicted for prey and larceny offenses. Mr. Speaker, we have had some delays as the technical team finalizes the regulations for agricultural wardens. I know some of the young people now are at home, frustrated, having been interviewed and done their tests, and they're ready to start training. I apologize for the delay and urge the technical teams at the Ministry of National Security and the MOA and the JCF to resolve this matter within the next 3 weeks so we can start training by June to have our agricultural wardens by December. Madam Speaker, fisheries remains critical to Jamaica's food security and agricultural development. Our fisher folk are among the most resilient, operating at the front line of climate vulnerability while continuing to supply our nation with seafood. First, we must commend our fishers. A number of them took heed to our warnings and brought in their boats for Hurricane Melissa, and we never saw a lot of loss of life. Nevertheless, they suffered tremendous damage, over $5 billion in damage. Despite this, our fishers have shown tremendous resilience. We have to move now from recovery to rebuilding. Madam Speaker, Mr. Speaker, to ensure the future of our fisheries sector, we have to prioritize aquaculture. This year, we will complete our 5 million fry per annum capacity recirculating aquaculture system. We had some construction setbacks, especially with Hurricane Melissa, but we have gotten a budgetary allocation of about 200 million to complete this project. This will bring our national capacity to 13 million fry per annum. This will drive our freshwater fish sector. But we are going a bit further. Last year, Mr. Speaker, we developed our first freshwater prawn commercial facility at Twickenham Park. And we produced over 386,000 post-larvae of those freshwater prawns. And we have issued already 147,000 to 12 commercial and 32 backyard fish farmers. We are going to be driving prawn production in Jamaica. The other thing that we have done with the help of the FAO is that in Bowden and St. Thomas, we have established for the first time in the English-speaking Caribbean cage culture, where we are growing snappers in cages in the sea out in Bowden. This is what happens all over the world to drive your production of seafood. The pilot has worked, and now we're looking for commercial partners to drive that process. We know that conservation, member from Northeast St. Anne, is critical to our marine ecosystem. Our sanctuaries have worked and now safeguard 11,000 hectares of critical marine habitat. I'm pleased to announce that we will declare 2 new sanctuaries this year in Alligator Pond and Salt Marsh, which will cover 12,250 hectares of marine ecosystem. Mr. Speaker, we continue. Madam Speaker, so good to see you. We continue to drive the blue economy. We will focus on CMOS. Over the last 3 years, we have trained 200 fishers in CMOS husbandry, and the NFA anticipates that the commercial CMOS production will increase threefold from 1,400 kilograms in 2025 to 5,000 kilograms by 2027. We have trained over 320 fishers in pelagic fishing, and our next step is now to build out the cold chain resources for them. So when they go out and catch the marlin, catch the mahi-mahi, they have the facilities to keep that cold and supply it to our market. We're continuing to drive oyster production. And in fact, a very sad story because we had a really good group, two groups in Westmoreland and Hanover that had 8 racks holding over 4,500 dozen oysters ready for harvest, and they lost all of that in Hurricane Melissa. Nonetheless, we are going to help them to build it back. We have allocated over $1 million to rebuild their oyster farms and to restore their oyster collection systems. This will help 48 oyster farmers. You know, one of the things that we have done, we have moved the registration and licensing system for officials to an online system, something called IRIFINS. It used to take, when I became minister, about 5 months for a fisher to get their renewal or their fishing license. It now takes the maximum 5 days. That is how this government has moved. But we've seen some good returns. When I became minister, the renewals were only 20%. Now that we've made it easier, we are up to 50% of our fishers doing their renewals. And outside of that, compliance. When the Coast Guard went out, they weren't finding a lot of people with their fisher's license. Now, what they have told us, 78% of the people they interact with have a fishing license. We're moving in the right direction. Madam Speaker, I'm pleased to announce today that we're making a fundamental change in fisheries enforcement. Come September, through a memorandum of understanding that we're signing with the TAJ and the Ministry of National Security in July, we are going to be joining the information management system of the TAJ and the MNS. What does this mean? It means that when enforcement officers stop our officials, instead of sending them to court, they can issue them with a ticket, they can pay their ticket, and they can continue to do what they are doing. So we're going to be bringing in some of the offenses under the system, like failing to report a fishing vessel that is lost, failing to store fishing gear, failing to comply with a lawful inquiry, leaving or depositing, all of these things that are already in the law, we're going to make them a ticketable offense so that the fisherman doesn't have to waste the time. We don't want them to break the law. But with these offenses, they can pay the ticket, save some time, and move on. We plan to launch this in September of this year. However, as tickets go, if you fail to honor the ticket, then you will have to make your way to court. We have started our new spiny lobster regulations. In fact, lobster is available now if persons had declared that they had lobster prior to and have taken all the steps under the law. I think this is a major step in managing our fisheries. Additionally, we have to do some more in fisheries management. So I'm putting the industry on notice that we will have to start moving now to deal with the size of the fish that we catch. If they are too small, we have to put them back. We have done significant consultation, and what we're now going to be moving to do is to do regulations that stipulate the size of the fish. We have the enforcement officers that are now there. We're saying to the fishers, help us to help you. It doesn't make sense we destroy that we benefit from. We're going to be prioritizing our fishing beaches, and in fact, last year we did significant work on our fishing beach infrastructure across Black River, Portland Cottage, Pagy, Salem, spent about $88 million retrofitting some of our fishing beaches. This year, we're going to continue that work. White House Fishing Beach is slated for major work. We've started that work. We have about $34 million. We're going to come and open that together, me and the member from Eastern Westmoreland. Additionally, we have acquired 2 additional properties, one in the Braham Wharf in Westmoreland, the other in Green Island in Hanover, to set up 2 new fisheries offices. We're going to continue our boat program. We're going to be doing 20 boats and 20 engines each year. We're also going to be establishing 2 additional fuel depots, one in Trelawney and one in Portland, so that our officials do not have to go too far to get their fuel. I will now turn to mining. Madam Speaker, the mining sector remains the cornerstone of the Jamaican economy. 10 minutes. The mining sector remains the cornerstone of the Jamaican economy, driving 85% of traditional exports, making it a significant contributor to national development, accounting for about 2% of GDP. Especially at this time of recovery and reconstruction, it is critical that our mining sector continues to grow forward. In 2025, export earnings from our bauxite and alumina subsector was US $612 million. And we are seeing increased investor confidence, where the investment in our mining sector for bauxite moved from US $251 million to US $326 million last year. In fact, Hurricane Melissa did, Madam Speaker, have a significant impact on the productive capacity of our bauxite and alumina subsector. Operational disruptions, infrastructure challenges, but our companies continue to invest. Windalco has completed their haulage road in St. Anne, which opened up access to increased qualities of high quality ore. They invested about 29 million US. Atlantic Alumina has entered into a strategic partnership worth $450 million in relation to Gramercy in Louisiana. And this signals a significant shift in the industry for us here at Discovery Bauxite. They are investing US $45 million this year to construct new haulage road, upgrade their maintenance upgrades, and purchase heavy-duty equipment. Last year, I appointed a review committee chaired by the Honorable Wesley Hughes to look at our management arrangements with Discovery Bauxite. We will be forwarding those recommendations to Cabinet, and then we will advise the House of our next steps. Century Aluminum has invested approximately US $80 million in capital upgrades at Jamalco Refinery, including the installation of a new turbine generator to improve energy self-sufficiency, which should be open the end of May. Madam Speaker, a delegation from my ministry, along with I, will travel to China in June for direct discussions with GISCO. We are seeking a definitive response regarding the reopening of Alpat and the future direction of its operations. This is a matter of significant importance to the mining sector, and more importantly to the people and communities of St. Elizabeth and to the country as a whole. We have to take a definitive decision about the future of GISCO this year. They had indicated to us that they would start the phase reopening towards the end of last year. We have already set a date to meet with them in person so that they can tell us their plans. If they don't have any immediate plans, the government will have to act. Madam Speaker, a lot has been made about rare earth elements in the past, but unfortunately it hasn't amounted to much. More than a decade ago, Japan's Nippon Light Metal, working with the Jamaica Bauxite Institute, found that our bauxite residue, or red mud, contains rare earth element concentrations that test at roughly 25 times those found in the upper continental crust. Yet the project never proceeded further due to a combination of factors, including world pricing and the fact that what was designed was a pilot, not a commercial plant. There is renewed drive to capitalize on our red mud, Jamaican red mud. Members, it is worth indicating that our Mining Act does maintain that where someone has a license for one mineral but finds another, he is under a duty to report it and to pay royalty. I am of the view that that legal position persists, whether the red mud is here in Jamaica or is in Louisiana. I have asked the Attorney General to opine on the subject, and I have instructed the legal team to make the requisite changes to the Mining Act to make that position beyond doubt. The JBI is now in advanced discussions with the local license holder towards expanding the pilot plant into a full commercial plant. A 2-year process and investment will begin for that this year. A robust sampling program has been executed and we look forward to a formal signing. I've also instructed the team to finalize the fiscal regime around the production of rare earth elements. Madam Speaker, 70% of our industrial mineral subsector is absorbed locally. It is the foundation of our construction industry, accounting for over 80%, 85% of the cement used. In 2025, production of quarry materials increased significantly to approximately 5.9 million tons from 3.7 million tons in 2024, reflecting a strong demand for infrastructure and construction activities. With the rebuilding, this is going to increase. We are going to continue to ensure that the revenues from non-bauxite mineral operations are collected efficiently and expeditiously, while we continue to encourage investors to move from just small production and to go into value added. Jamaica has high purity limestone that is using things like antacids, using things like toothpaste. We are seeking investors to establish a factory right here at home. We have long wondered if Jamaica has gold. We have long wondered if Jamaica has copper. We have seen some significant partnerships over the last year, including Freeport-McMoran, one of the biggest copper companies in the world, partnering with C3 Metals, and they are spending US $75 million to explore for copper. Barrick Mining, who has partnered with Geophysics to expend US $20 million to explore for gold. Madam Speaker, having met with these companies, they have already indicated promising results. C3 Metals have reported encouraging signs of possible large copper deposits and is moving to further exploration. If these partnerships uncover commercial scale deposits, this country will reap great returns. Not only will we see increased export earnings, but we will significantly benefit from the revenue generated through imposed taxes and the collections of royalties. Madam Speaker, the Jamaica Bauxite Institute has redoubled its effort to strengthen bauxite communities with a strong focus on agriculture. You know what we have found? Where the community councils are strong, there is significant engagement. Where the community councils are weak, there is poor engagement. We did 7 audits of bauxite community councils last year, and we're going to be restructuring the community councils. One of the things that's non-negotiable, the MP must have a representative on the community council. Very, very important. And we are going to partner with the SDC to bring in some new blood on these community councils. We have embarked on phase 8 of our bauxite community development program, and we will be spending significant sums on a number of areas. 70 million will be support education activities. 30 million has been earmarked for healthcare. Operation Pipe Water will be accelerated to bring water infrastructure into communities that now does not have water. We are increasing the allocation to members of parliament. Some will be increased by 25%, some by 50%. In fact, no, it's 100%. Sorry, it's 100%. Yeah, man, it's 100%. It's 100%. We have identified 50 acres of land in St. Anne to help with the development of an agri park. And importantly, in 2024, we launched the Hoylett Lambert Scholarship, where we gave 14 students scholarships amounting to 500,000 each. I'm pleased to announce that we're expanding that. We're doubling the support, and this year we will be offering 30 scholarships to students in bauxite parishes who are studying science, engineering, logistics. Reynolds Port is critical to the future of Jamaica, and we do have a plan to reduce its energy consumption by 84% using renewable energy, but it will take more. Last year we accommodated 122 cruise vessels, and we continue to drive our limestone exports. we have to do a redevelopment of the Reynolds Port. We do earthquake, and I will speak more about that in the press conference tomorrow. So let me close by saying, one thing that should now be clear to this honorable House and the people of Jamaica: mining, agriculture, and fisheries are not standing still. They're not retreating. They're not surrendering from the pressures before them. Over the last year, we faced hurricanes, drought, global instability, rising costs, supply chain disruptions. We have seen farms destroyed, fishing beaches damaged, operations disrupted. But even in the middle of these challenges, Madam Speaker, our farmers have returned to our fields, our fishers have returned to the sea, our miners have continued to power this national development. Madam Speaker, may God continue to bless our farmers, our fishers, our miners, and the people of Jamaica. I thank you. Bless up, bless up.
Nice.
Madam Speaker, I want to extend our congratulations on the Minister of Agriculture for what was a very full and detailed speech of achievements and accomplishments for the people of Jamaica and the agricultural sector. We'll now move to the Member of Parliament for Manchester North Western, who I have been advised is aware of the time that he has been allocated. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Members, please make welcome to his feet. Make welcome to his feet.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise today to make my contribution to the sectoral debate.
Let me restart your time. Permission to speak from a seat other
Madam
than your own.
Speaker, permission to speak from a seat other than my own.
Permission granted.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise again to make my contribution to the sectoral debate with a deep sense of gratitude to the voters of Northwest Manchester, who last September returned me for a fourth consecutive term as Member of Parliament. Gratitude is a must. As we embark on this new term of office, I pledge to continue serving to the best of my ability. I am grateful to the Leader of the Opposition, who is absent today, who is at the funeral for former Minister Hugh Hart, for reappointing me as Shadow Minister of Transport and Mining. I intend to be vigorous and effective. Truth be told, Madam Speaker, the state of both the transport and mining sectors is unhealthy, on life support, and just awaiting the formal pronouncement of death as they limp along, devoid of policies, daily shifts in negative narrative, and perpetual decline. To my family, my wife Rhonda, who's in the gallery, my daughters Isabel and Gabriella, my mother Sandra, my father Peter, who is doing quite well in retirement, and my siblings, you are the very bedrock of my existence, providing the steadfast support that sustains me. Madam Speaker, I want to recognize the students and the teachers from Mile Gully High School, the only high school in Northwest Manchester, and constituents and other visitors, members from the transport sector. Madam Speaker, I turn my focus to transport, a sector currently besieged by frustration for our long-suffering commuters and operators. For a decade, spanning the tenure of 4 different ministers, I have consistently demanded a coherent diagnostic and implementable transport policy. The absence of such a policy framework has led to a serious deterioration in uncertainty and efficiency, culminating the embarrassing spectacle of state and private entities now aggressively jostling for passengers and fares across Jamaica. On April 20th, 2026, barely a month ago, the Oakhurst to Kingston corridor was plunged into chaos as bus operators withdrew their services. They were protesting against the state-owned JUTC, whose recent incursions into their licensed routes have been described as a direct assault on their livelihoods. These operators contended that the JUTC is leveraging artificially low fares to create an unfair competitive environment, whittling away routes' revenue expectations. Madam Speaker, this act highlights the desperate need for a coherent policy. And it also begs the question, is it now the administration's intent to cherry-pick profitable routes for state takeover? Does the JUTC still hold an exclusive franchise for the KMTR under the Public Passenger Transport Act, where it is obligated to provide an adequate, safe, and modern service, or has it abandoned its original purpose? Furthermore, it is the same transport authority, by law, dictates fare structure. How can the government justify undercutting those very rates approved by the cabinet, effectively cannibalizing the route yield of the very same investors it has licensed? Madam Speaker, what can really go so, and how unjust can this government be? These are policy issues that the minister must address through the formulation of a comprehensive transport sector policy, so the very investor, financial institution, operator, worker, and importantly, the regulator can have clarity about the roles of all stakeholders in the industry. Without this, Madam Speaker, whatever is the minister's claim, the decline will persist and there will be no prospect of real improvement of transport service for our people. The minister must also be transparent about what he considers improvement under his stewardship. Is it the unchecked explosion of road license? The rampant chaos of taxis performing stage carriage functions? Or is it a race to the bottom where suppressed costs have sacrificed all meaningful service standards? I will leave it to Jamaica to determine whether this minister and the administration he serves have improved the transport sector or just making sweet-sounding announcements without real action or real improvements. Madam Speaker, let us all turn our attention to the JUTC. For a decade now, the JUTC has been languishing in the hospital's accident and emergency department, left on a bench without a bed. They have called on a carpenter to examine the patient. when what is truly required is oxygen and a skilled physician to diagnose the ailment and prescribe the cure. Maybe we could have retained some Cubans for that. Madam Speaker, the JUTC is